Well, the piece I've done today looks at what a possible roadmap to reconciliation between Prince Harry and the royal family might look like, and what the mood music is inside some royal circles, where, of course, so far we've heard officially nothing from Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace about Prince Harry's book and the revelations and all his claims. But there are some people starting to talk about what a reconciliation might look like, and the fact that it really does, attempts do need to be made sooner rather than later.
And do we have a timescale on something like this? A lot of people quoted in your piece are saying that it needs to happen now. It certainly needs to be over by April because of the timing of the coronation. Do we know when, for example, there will be an invite set out for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex?
No, we don't. Obviously, the coronation is in May. So there's a few months to go, and I think, as I've mentioned in the piece, the feeling at the moment at the palaces are they're really hoping that Harry is now done with his, promotional round and all his interviews, so that they can just take stock over the next few weeks and see how they feel. But I think the general consensus with some of the people I've spoken to is that if there is any attempt at a reconciliation, there's no point sitting on it. I think things have got as bad as they've ever really been between the family and this rift. You have a huge moment at the coronation in May, which the king would hope and the nation would hope would be focused on him and what it means to the UK, having this new king. If that's overshadowed by Harry and Meghan coming over here with no resolution and no attempts made, I think that would be a very, very bad situation.
And is it fair to say, Roya, that the ball at the moment is in the palace's court, if you like? Harry's put out his book, he's done his interviews. Now it's the palace to move next.
Well, I think that's Harry's interpretation of it, and that is certainly what Harry keeps saying. I'm not convinced that that's what everyone in the palaces thinks, but someone has got to break this deadlock. Harry is, firing a lot of shots at the royal family, saying a lot of things, and there's no comeback on it. I think there needs to be less of a focus on whose court the ball is in, and someone just needs to get on with it and probably get this process going, because if there's a stalemate like this long term, Harry's not going to stop.
Do you think we're going to see some sort of response to the book from the palace, Roya?
I think the response that we've seen to the book so far in the last few days of members of the royal family, the king, the Waleses, out and about engagement, is the only official response we're going to see. And I know that we're going to see the king and other members of the royal family out again this coming week. I don't think we're going to have an on-the-record statement or anything like that. I think their view very much is publicly to get on the front foot with the work that they do and the view that the public support them, which all the polls show that they do. I think behind the scenes, people are thinking how to go about this.
And is the issue, as far as you're able to see, between the king and Harry, or is it more, because reading the book as I'm going slowly through it, there's a lot about William in there. Is that the bigger issue? Is it between the brothers, or is it between the father and son?
I think it's between the spare and the entire family.
Right.
Yes, William comes under very heavy fire in the book. There's no getting away from that. But Charles doesn't emerge that well either, and certainly nor does the Queen Consort. So it's clear Harry has an issue, many, many issues with a lot of his family and the entire institution.
Gosh, so it might be a bigger sit-down than we thought. Look, finally, Roya, even if we do have this sit-down, which, as you quote your sources in the piece, this is to avoid this, what they call a circus, the coronation turning into a circus. Even if we do have this sit-down and the reconciliation, is it always going to be a massive, massive issue, Harry attending the coronation, even if they've already had a sit-down?
There's going to be huge interest in him if he comes, but the tone of all of that could be very different if there have been some attempts to try and for both sides to try and hear each other out. I think in a sort of slightly very less combative way than Harry's going about it at the moment.